Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we have a very, very crazy and unexpected story to talk about coming out of the LCS. This is surrounding Team Liquid and CoreJJ. He has been one of the bigger stories throughout the entire LCS this offseason and this season, obviously, as he was expected to get his green card by many fans and even the organization themselves, as they then brought in two new imports in Whippo and Hansama. Obviously not to replace their main import in CoreJJ, but because they thought he was going to get his green card. They thought he was going to be a resident. But obviously that led to delays and delays and delays, and we never got to see the full Team Liquid lineup in lock-in the first couple of weeks, whatever. Eventually we get to see him, then CoreJJ has to take a week off, and now apparently he's back. All this craziness. But this story just got a little bit crazier today. There is, some statements coming out from the Team Liquid general manager about what had happened and potentially what could have happened and the stresses and trials and tribulations that they all went through. I think this is going to be a very, very entertaining video. So I hope you guys stick around, check it out, and enjoy it. So definitely drop a like if you guys do. That would be awesome. And subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Help us run those numbers up. That would be absolutely insane. Channel's been doing really, really well recently. But hey, I'm always shooting for higher. I'm always shooting for more. I wanna make something crazy here. I want to make something really, really great, really, really special. And we can't do it without your guys' help. With that being said, let's get right into this. This is hot off the presses. This is a big, big, big story. I love covering breaking stuff. You guys know that. This is less than 20 minutes old. I first clicked on this tweet when it was 7 minutes old, but I was eating, so I had to finish what I was eating, and then I hopped on right away 19 minutes ago. I'm trying to get you guys the latest. June Kang, I'm not sure how you say his name. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong. This is TL Dodo, the general manager for Team Liquid. I do believe he had another tweet first. He tweeted like a picture of CoreJJ back in the United States. Yeah, he said he's back. Obviously, I quoted this. Hey, this is awesome. We get to see CoreJJ back this weekend. The organization already told us, he was only going to be out for 1 week. The personal issues or matters or whatever he was dealing with was just going to take a week, and then he was going to be back, and he's going to be playing this weekend. So that was cool to see. But then, obviously, we got to get to these big tweets. With Core's status finally being settled, I can share this now. There was a very, all caps, high chance that if Core didn't receive his green card by February, we would have lost Core. Now, what does that mean? Obviously, that's kind of interesting, kind of a crazy statement. Not only from Team Liquid, but from the LCS and from League of Legends scene as a whole. He would have potentially been forced to retire. Now, we still have two whole other tweets to get into, but there's a lot to unpack there. So, one, he says there was a very, very high chance of this happening. There was a very high chance that Core was going to be forced to retire. Now, that's crazy. I don't necessarily understand how that would have happened. I don't know if that's him saying that, Core was only going to play in the LCS. He was only going to play in Team Liquid. Maybe he really likes the United States. Maybe this is where he wanted to be. I know he's got like a wife or whatever. I don't know how things are going there. I can't imagine that the background issues would have caused it to where he wouldn't have been able to return to Korea and play if he wanted to or whatever. So I don't know why he would have been forced to retire. I'm sure he could have done something else, but maybe it has to do, I don't even know. I don't really understand that. But the big point is, this was very, very close to him potentially retiring. Also, he says if he didn't get his green card by February, today's March 1st, CoreJJ got his green card like 2 weeks ago, like middle of February. So we were just weeks away from CoreJJ's retirement, and we didn't even know it. The game he played, I don't know if he played 1 or 2 games in the lock-in tournament. He didn't play very many games in the lock-in tournament, but CoreJJ playing in the lock-in tournament with Team Liquid, with Jan as AD carry, that could have been CoreJJ's final competitive League of Legends game. Not only as a LCS player, not only as a Team Liquid player, but he could have just been done. Now I'm kind of having the thought of, I wonder if this has something to do with CoreJJ's military time. I wonder if we didn't get this by February, that he was going to have to return to Korea to serve his mandated military time. I'm not sure exactly how that stuff works. That is Not confirmed at all. That is totally me speculating, but that's just kind of me thinking out loud in my brain, processing in real time, because that would actually make sense. If he had to go back and he had to serve his military time, because I think you have to do 2 years, and then in that case, he probably would have been forced to retire. He would have been out of things for 2 years. Who knows how the scene changes in 2 years? Who knows? You're 2 years older, you haven't played in 2 years, all that stuff. But now maybe since he got his green card, he's able to stay in the United States, maybe push that back. Maybe he's getting rid of his Korean citizenship altogether and he's going to try to just stay in the United States. I don't know for sure, but the fact that they're putting deadlines on this and being say he would have been forced to retire, that could have had something to do with it. He could have been forced into his Korean military time and been left with no other option since he couldn't get his green card. That would be my best guess at this point, but don't take that and run with that too much. But again, he needed to get this by February, and he got it like February 15th or 16th or something, really late. There was just weeks away from him being forced to retire, and if he was forced to retire, this would have been a disaster for Team Liquid, and he does go into that a little bit. He says, Core's case was so complex, many lawyers told me we needed a miracle to happen, and some didn't even want to touch the case because it seemed impossible. Now, this, Team Liquid did a great job of hiding this because this is not what we were hearing at all. What we were hearing and what made logical sense was that Team Liquid was expecting this CoreJJ green card to get done. They signed Whippo. They signed Hansama. Bjergsen said, I want to play with Core, and he came to Team Liquid. Hansama said, I want to play with Core, and he came to Team Liquid. There was no signs. There was no red flags that Team Liquid needed a miracle, that we were weeks away from Core retiring, that lawyers wouldn't touch this because, this was going to be impossible. Dodo says that he was stressed the past few months and it felt like he was walking on thin ice because he needed to make this shit happen. And yes, he absolutely did, because again, he got Bjergsen to come on the promises of playing with CoreJJ. He got Hansama to come on the promises of playing with CoreJJ. And if CoreJJ wasn't going to be an option and they were going to be stuck with academy players playing for the rest of the year, who knows how this team would have fell apart, mentally, would the players have left, wanted to play, not wanted to play, whatever. But also, look at the amount of money Team Liquid spent on this roster. Whippo is not cheap. Bjergsen is not cheap. Hansama is not cheap. CoreJJ is not cheap. And if they spent all this money and then ended up with a team that wasn't going to be able to compete for international titles and go out and really do something on the international stage, Ayla's been good, but he obviously makes TL worse overall, especially headed off to the international stage where we have no idea how good he's going to be. This would have been a disaster. And if you're the general manager and you planned this all out and you put the plan in motion to spend all this money and you convinced Steve and your higher ups and all the investors that this was the way to go and you promised everybody this awesome lineup and then you failed to deliver, yeah, you were going to be on thin ice in a lot of different ways. But for one reason or another, the miracle, it happened. The impossible was possible, and they got this green card done. Dodo says it was such a huge relief, and we were finally able to get it done, and I was so glad and happy for Core that he can continue playing. Now I can sit back and seeing our full lineup and see how far this group of insanely talented players can go this year. Awesome. Obviously, I'm so glad for Dodo. I'm so glad they got this all done. I can't even imagine the relief he's feeling right now. Okay, yeah, and this is what people are saying too. He said, this is happening right now. I just updated. He said, why force retire? Couldn't he play in other regions? And this guy said possibly would have had to go to the military if he couldn't keep playing. So yeah, you guys saw this before I even saw that tweet. I had to refresh. So hey, I'm getting decent at this stuff, guys. That is my guess for what happened. But yeah, obviously huge relief to Dodo now. We're all so excited to see this full-strength TL team. Also, CoreJJ's contract expires this year, and I always wondered why they hadn't re-signed him. I wondered why they were letting him get to his contract year. Obviously, seems like CoreJJ loves TL. Seems like TL loves CoreJJ, but possibly it was because they couldn't even really sign an extension unless they knew what was going on with his green card. So hopefully this means CoreJJ is not considering retirement in this offseason. Hopefully that means CoreJJ is not leaving Team Liquid or the LCS or anything like that in this offseason. And hopefully over the next coming months, we will see CoreJJ and Team Liquid sign an actual contract extension to keep him a part of the LCS and keep him a part of Team Liquid for as long as he wants to play here. I do expect that to be the next part of the story now that his future is not a giant question mark. I think they'll sign him to maybe the biggest deal in LCS history, but we'll have to wait and see. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. If you drop a like if you did enjoy it, I would appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole story. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions, and subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Hope we catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.